How many people are super hungover? Yeah, hey, we got one guy to admit it. That's awesome. I'm going to try and keep this light. I'm going to try and keep this entertaining. I'm going to try and wring your brain out so you got booze just like squirting out of your ears by the end of this, all right? Whatever's left over. Yeah, last year I was here on my 50th birthday, and I realized that you're my only friends, and so I just keep coming back. I want to give you a little bit of a slideshow. I just got back from Iceland really recently, and one of the places that I visited in Reykjavik was the Punk Rock Museum. Anybody ever been there? You got to go to Reykjavik, by the way. Uli, of course, you've been there, right? This is an amazing place. It was founded by Johnny Rotten of the Sex Pistols, and it's like the size of like a bathroom, right? And I was walking through this show, through this exhibit, which was really amazing. Before I was a deadhead, I was a punk rock guy. We'll get into all this, by the way. Don't worry. Don't take notes. There's no quizzes. And I realized that a lot of the stuff that I was seeing at the Punk Rock Museum reminded me a lot of what's happening right now in the media world. And it is a total shit show right now, okay? We've got so much stuff going on with linear television versus over-the-top stuff. We've got Facebook and all of its sort of shenanigans with data. We've got the radio stations, terrestrial radio, moving into streaming, and we've got all these media plans and all this stuff together, and guess what? Your CEO or CMO usually doesn't see any of it, right? It's not like the old days, like, we're going to do TV. Great, we're all going to gather in front of the conference room and go see the TV, and we can go see our spots. How many people of you have pixeled the browser of your CEO or your CMO just to make sure that they actually see your ads? I've done it. I've snuck into a client's office and pixeled their computers to make sure they know that we're actually spending their money. All right, so eat the rich, that's what I say. Okay, so here's a couple things about the Punk Rock Museum. First of all, this is the hippie hair wash. So I wasn't sure if I was feeling very welcome at that point. This one I thought was pretty interesting. My creative director is a huge dubstep guy, so I had to send this to him and say, sorry, but there's also like the no Nazis thing, which I thought, pretty apropos right now. And then this is on the walkway up, which I thought was really interesting. No disco, no sexism, no politics, no hate, no bullshit, no future. And I was walking out of there, and I wasn't really thinking about work, but I was thinking about this presentation. Not then. I wasn't thinking about it then. But when, the last couple of days, and I'm like, there's like this attitude that's happening right now in the industry. And we've got these direct-to-consumer brands that are pretty punk rock, to be honest with you. They don't give a fuck about anything. They really don't. I mean, they're blazing a trail. They don't care if they're going up against the biggest people ever, like the record labels, like the punk rock people. They're starting their own labels. They're doing all this kind of stuff. They're trashing their instruments. It's beautiful. And there's a lot to learn from what's going on. And what I want to talk about here for a few minutes is just that how everything that's happening right now has happened 4 or 5 other times already. So to me, there's nothing to be nervous about, all right? So let's go back in time. That's me. That was 1995, and that's when I started Ciceron. We're one of the first digital agencies in the country, at least for sure one of the last originals left standing, not gobbled up by somebody or out of business. I was a little thinner. I wore mock turtlenecks and wide cord pants. It was a good time. And I also started another company at the same time called IndieSonic. And IndieSonic was, our tagline was free the music, and it was to do online retail for independent bands and musicians. And it was fun times. Well, we got pretty good at that business, and companies started to pay attention and say, what are you guys doing over there? So we started an agency. And that's how we got our start. And that was a long time ago. It was 1995. And so I want to take you through a little bit of a history lesson to show you why what's happening right now should not make anybody nervous, but we need to get some fundamentals sort of together. First thing to understand is my world has been dominated by knuckleheads. and by the way, it drives me crazy, knuckleheads, period, okay? Don't do drugs, stay in school, people. Know your grammar, know your punctuation. Drives me crazy that I forgot a period. But anyway, my world's been dominated by knuckleheads. Knuckleheads making stupid moves that take the market down, but then something happens every single time, and the best stuff rises to the top. So let's just go through this little history lesson, all right? So in 1995, I started this business. It's the dot-com boom. All right? Everything was just like flying high, and that was super punk rock, right? Although punk rock, sort of like the Pistols were, they were actually kind of a marketing ploy by Malcolm McLaren. They were funded by VC. Punk rock bands were not funded by VC. Let's just say that's the case for sure, right? So .com, and then all of a sudden, May 1st, or May of 2001, NASDAQ crashes. It's over, game over. Pets.com, sock puppets, gone. The whole thing's over. September 11th, happened not that far after, and it was over. And a lot of people said, well, what are we going to do now, right? So some things emerged out of that. Anybody want to take a guess? What were some things that emerged out of that, especially in the digital world, around that time? Any guesses? Right? Google AdWords. I remember we were a beta tester for Google AdWords, and 10-cent clicks were a thing. You could get any click you wanted for 10 cents. And then it went up to 15. We had 50% price inflation. Talking clients off the ledge. Yeah, I know, it's like 50% more now. Right? A click today for auto insurance is like $56. All right? That's not even a lead. That's just a click, right? So Google AdWords happened. The other thing happened, I put exact target in here, and I know we always joke about, where's my Salesforce buddy? There you are, every time we joke about this. So exact target started in my offices in Minneapolis. And it was really fun to work after some guys who started doing email marketing. And so all of a sudden, email marketing started to blow up. And for the next 5 or 6 years, essentially Google AdWords and email automation became just the standard bearers of digital marketing. And it arose out of the ashes of the dot-com bust, right? So 2003 was sort of the advance of what I would call digital marketing. And then what happened, right? Bunch of knuckleheads doing a bunch of cocaine someplace in Manhattan, decided to do derivatives markets and put all of our mortgages at rate. I mean, literally, we're talking like a handful of people making stupid-ass decisions, and it takes everything down. Everything down. How many people were in this business in 2008? Not fun. It was not fun. Everything went away. Except for what? What didn't go away? Google AdWords, email marketing, those things didn't go away. So what came out of this? It was the birth of RTB, real-time bidding. Came out of that, the ashes. Why? Because nobody was buying any inventory. Nobody was buying any advertising inventory. You had all of this inventory and a bunch of really bored math geeks. Okay? So they put their algorithms together and they decided to start essentially what became programmatic. And so programmatic came out of an excess of inventory. Without the crash in 2008, I don't think we would have had programmatic right now. At least not as fast, right? So out of that came Facebook ads, companies like the Trade Desk. How many of you are Trade Desk users, right? Amazon advertising, I'm kind of putting that out in the farther distance. Whoops, I wanted to go backwards. Forget it, you know what it was, right? So all of that came out of that. So I would say that was a good thing. So what happened after that? We stacked this thing up. We have Google AdWords, we have our email automation, now we have programmatic, and everything that's happening is just becoming more and more accountable, and you're finding that people are like becoming less scared of certain upsets in the market because of where we're at. So right now we have these super complex media mixes in our world. Again, a lot of it invisible to the people who are actually funding it because we're doing a really good job of using our data and targeting audiences and everything else. But let's not forget that because you can't see it all the time, that's a huge culture shift. There's not a big wine and dine business. There's not a lot of front row Super Bowl tickets. There's not a lot of that emotional, fun shit that CMOs loved for a long time in digital. It's not super sexy on the relationship feel side of the business, right? That's a huge change, just to kind of put it in perspective. So, who's all ready for a recession? Super stoked? Yeah? Right? So knuckleheads are doing things like trade wars that nobody wants. I mean, yeah, we got to fix some stuff with China and all that kind of stuff, okay? We're fine. Knucklehead move, right? So what happens? You know, we don't know. We don't know if there's going to be a recession or not. Lots of indicators tell us that that could probably take place. But what do we think is going to happen out of a recession if not? If we have one, what will happen? If we don't, what will happen? And I would suggest that the acceleration of biddable TV and radio is the next thing that's going to happen. It's not going to replace anything else necessarily that we've done before. It's just going to completely change how we view a lot of channels that we used to have to sort of lock in, do upfronts on, have RFPs, all this kind of stuff. All of these screens now are available to us in biddable formats. And if we have a recession, it's only going to accelerate the growth of these areas. It's not going to shut them down. So my point in all of this is that the survivors of the past 20 years have really all been digital. And I'm not trying to be, you know, dramatic about that or anything else like that. I mean, if you just look at it, people are not canceling out of their plans the fundamental digital building blocks of what they're doing, the core of their business. There's still automation. You can still get 400 to 1 ROI off of email. Who turns off search? Nobody, right? You've got now these building blocks of all of your data, and you're starting to buy all of these sort of things. And so my feeling is that for those brands who decide that this is the place that they want to go, that you can really weather a lot of storm. It's a great hedge against sort of macroeconomic things that are happening. Just so you know, this is how I've structured my agency. You know, back in 2000 or whatever else, when we onboarded AdWords and all this kind of thing, that just became the core of what we do. And as things evolve, we don't get rid of those things. We just keep sort of building on it. And we find that that really helps because all these things have to be synthesized, and they all have to work together to make it all work. So let's talk a little bit about what the D2C brands are doing. I kind of look at it as your dad's music versus punk rock. I know I should say your dad and mom's music, but at like 64-point type, that would have just made that screen look terrible. So I said your dad. If you want to put in quotes, that's fine, your dad's music. So we've got your dad's music would be companies like Nike. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a huge Nike fan, head to toe. Love Nike. Fits my feet great, everything else. But these are brands that were built on traditional media, right? Completely and entirely built on traditional media. They're doing amazing things now in digital, but they were really largely built on channels that are largely becoming digital. And so what you see right now is an amazing evolution of these brands that are just sticking a middle finger to the whole world. And they say, we're just going to go direct. We get rid of all of the problems with distribution. We built our own stack, so we didn't start with some other green screen technology and have to hire a bunch of COBOL programmers just to get a frickin' email out, right? They just built it from the ground up and said, we're going to be fast. We're going to be fast, and we're going to know our customers better than anybody. And oh, by the way, we learned how to do all of our retail and everything else from Amazon. So they set the standard. We're just going to say whatever Amazon does, we're going to do it, and we're going to just know our customers a little bit better. How many of you people buy these brands, some of these emerging brands? They're amazing. I'm kind of head to toe Stitch Fix something today. I don't know what I am, but 8 minutes? Jesus, John. All right. Deep breath. Blink, click, 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 click. No. These brands are fascinating. They are so much fun to work with. They don't care. They want to test everything. They want to use their data. They want to get out there and make it happen. Why? Because they're not doing everything on the left. They're not buying traditional media, right? They're not doing RFPs. They're not doing committed buys. They're not locking into anything. They know their audiences, and they're buying their audiences. And they are appearing with their audiences, almost using media like we've used email automation for a long time. Like, you know all those beautiful Visio diagrams? Like, if people do this, send them this email. If they do that, send them this email. We're now doing that with media. We're following people along and delivering messages and pushing them down through to a decision that they want to make. So if you start thinking about media the way you've been thinking about email for the past 20 years, you're way ahead. If you think about it as just an awareness tactic, missing out on all the opportunities that we have to really learn and understand and deliver and completely delight the people that we're trying to steal their money from. I mean, transact with, okay? And we live in this weird middle right now because of scale issues. For large brands, television still gives them a total and complete scale, but once again, I think we're finding that even a lot more of that inventory is now moving into some of these other OTT channels, et cetera. So it's super exciting. We sort of live in this weird middle right now. And the argument really is that everything's digital. All these screens. The screen that you have a smart TV in your house, it's a giant computer. It has an IP address, it has a processor, connects to your Wi-Fi. It's no different than your phone. And of course, you've got your phone in your hand, your laptop in your lap, and your large smart TV sitting in front of you, and you're doing 3 things all at once, right? And we should know that as marketers. What are you trying to accomplish with each of those screens? You might have awareness here, you might be researching on your laptop, and you might transact on your phone. So you can't deliver the same ad to all 3 and expect the same result because that people aren't doing the same 3 things on those different devices. They're doing very different things, and you need to know that to be able to deliver those experiences. And then we've got weird things like Twitch. How many gamers do we have in the room? How many people have kids who are gamers? This is frickin' TV. Twitch is TV to anybody who's a gamer, right? And Twitch inventory is now inside the trade desk. There's lots of things that you can buy now on Twitch. TikTok came out of nowhere and became the fastest growing social network like in ages, right? And will it die like Vine died? I don't know. I don't care. Let's just go buy it now because there's a lot of people who are doing it. A lot of this stuff's going to die, but you might as well use it while you got it. And I kind of like hockey stick curves. I'm from Minnesota. I get hockey. I get curves. All right? So what does it mean to be a punk rock band? Punk band. What does it mean to be a punk band? You just turn it up to 11 and go. Punk brand, right? First of all, you got to hack the tech. You just have to have a hacker's mentality. You're just going to take the tech and you're just going to put it together. This is a campaign we did for Dua Lipa. We do a lot of work in the record business. And it's funny, we do a lot of work in the record business and the healthcare business. So in the record business, you destroy your health. And in the healthcare business, you make it better. So we're kind of a cradle-grave agency. In the case of like this Dua Lipa campaign, we did a programmatic out-of-home buy. We set geo-targets around it, or geo-fences around those billboards in LA and New York. We were able to gather device IDs from the people who were in front of those billboards and remarket to them a Spotify ad of the track for Dua Lipa. Okay? Super fun. Never been done before. And guess what? The 4 different tech companies that we needed to do this needed to coordinate, and they didn't even know that each other existed. So we had to sit down and get everybody on the phone and say, here's what we want to do for this campaign. I know you've never done it before, but I need you to pass data to you and you to pass audience data there. I need to make all of this happen, and we're going to do it, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to deliver amazing results, right? So you got to hack the tech. And you need to make it do what you want to do. Later this week is the Data and Programmatic Summit, and I've got a client from the Mall of America flying in, and another client and a colleague of mine tomorrow, and just talking about how we're trying to use all these tools to drive more retail transactions. So similar sort of thing, get all that location data, right? Get all that audience data, first-party data, to put that all together so that we can build audiences. And did I just squeak? My voice just squeaked? I'm turning 51 on Friday, and I still had that happen. All right. there's lots of things that we can do to deliver these experiences. Once that family gets into the Mall of America, you're not done yet. You can now start to deliver them experiences on their mobile devices to say, hey, did you know that there's 7 Santas? Don't tell your kids. Kids know only one Santa, but at the Mall of America, there's 7 Santas, right? Did you know that there are giveaways over at this place? Just driving engagement and using the technology to sort of mash it up and make it do what you need to do to overall drive experience. If I was just doing awareness and just trying to get them to the mall and call my day clean, I'm leaving so much opportunity on the table to drive more engagement and drive more retail transactions. And so we did a study after this to show that we were driving considerably more engagement and on-site, in-store retail transactions as a result of stuff that happened when they were 200 miles away from the mall. And that stuff is fun. Most importantly, you can stick it to the world by owning your own data. And I can tell you that the D2C brands in particular own their data. They know what to do with their first-party data. They know how to blend that with third-party data and really make super smart middles in all of this. And this is hugely important. This is their competitive advantage. This should be every one of your competitive advantages, is to really understand, because what you don't own, you have to buy. And when you buy it, it costs money. And when you don't have to buy things, it doesn't cost money. See, I'm a math guy, all right? And that's super fun to be able to do that. And there's first-party data sitting all over the place that nobody's doing anything with. So if you want to be a hero, say, I'm going to own that. I'm going to tie all this stuff together. I'm going to get us into a DMP for the first time ever. I'm just going to make this stuff happen so that we can be super smart and super nimble and start to act like brands that are winning and to have a good time doing it, because it is fun to win. It is fun to do things right and to watch things happen. All right? Okay, I have 2 minutes left, so I'm really going to go. The last thing that I'm really excited about right now is that we have to get ready for true interactivity. I am so tired of advertising and have to wait till later for a transaction. All right, I'm just going to give you one example. I think we're heading into what I call the want that economy. And the want that economy, I think, is perfectly represented by what Mr. Bezos is going to do with Fire TV. Do you think that Jeff Bezos wanted to get into the TV business? No, he wants to link your Prime account to Fire TV so that when you're watching an ad, you say, I want that. And it shows up. How easy is that? You go from awareness to conversion, just like that. And I personally think that that's what they're doing. I don't think he wants to be in the TV business. I think he wants to be in the transaction business, and that's going to be, well, fuck, he's going to get super rich, even more. But when you're smart, that's what you get. All right. So who are we? Agency out of Minneapolis. This is what we do for our clients. We have a blast doing it. It's fun to discover inside strengths that organizations have just sitting right there, and it's fun to extract it out. People know that there's better ways to do things, and the name Ciceron means a trusted guide, and that's what we believe that we are. One other thing that I just want to talk about, we went through a values statement, or a values process at Ciceron, that I'm very proud of. This is what we ask our employees to do every day when they come to the office. And have empathy is one of the big, there's a reason why it's number one. Have empathy towards the client, that we understand that they're going through something, they're going through monumental changes, and there isn't a common understanding up and down the chain. Have empathy to that. The anxiety that you're hearing on the other end of the phone or getting in the email is about unmet potential, and that is our job. Empathy is also about having empathy to the people that we're delivering advertising to. That I have a responsibility to make sure that my client's brand is in front of the people who really actually care, and that I need to scale that. Not scale a spend or scale impressions or scale all of that. My job is literally to have empathy towards people who want to buy that product that they just simply don't know that it exists yet. And when you have those two pieces together, it makes a huge change. And if you lead with that empathetic voice, it demilitarizes yourself, and it also sort of demilitarizes situations and gets people to really think very clearly. Lastly, just as how we're organized as a company, is that we have synthesized creative, data, and media into a single offering. And I'll be honest, and I'll tell you why we did that. I had a really hard time taking other agencies creative that didn't think ahead of time as to where it was actually going to appear. And I'm really tired of taking people's 60-second, 30-second videos and trying to cut them down to 6 seconds, right? Or not even thinking about what the channels are. So over the past 3 years, we've brought in some of the most amazing creative talent. And we just found unicorns. I went hunting for unicorns. And we found them and brought them in. And we have them sitting right next to data scientists, and we have them sitting next to our media people, and we synthesize this all together. When we do that, we get super high energy work. And when we don't have that opportunity, it's pretty low energy. You cannot operate at the speed that you want. And we bring our clients along with us. You don't give it to us and then we come back and show you magic. We do this together. We educate a lot. We spend a lot of time with our clients saying, here's the new stuff. Here's how we do what we do. We do training, we do sessions, we do conferences, we do all of this stuff because we all have to be fast and understanding that this is a big, big, huge opportunity for all of us right now. So with that, thank you very much. Did you see it, Danny? I said there was going to be one Fish reference in here, the least punk rock band of all time. But thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to get to know all of you. Enjoy. Oh, nice. Well done.
That's for you, sir. That's
Thank
for you.
you.
Big round.